Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. A gigantic electoral process kicks off as polling underway on 102 seats for the lower house of Indian Parliament. Over 166 million voters will exercise their franchise in the largest of the 7 phases. Drones shot down in Isfahan in central Iran as Israel attacks. IAEA says no damage reported to nuclear facility in the city. Airlines adjust flight paths and cancel trips. US stops UN from recognizing a Palestinian state through membership. Israel commends US veto. Palestine terms it unfair, unethical and unjustified. And Ukraine seeks urgent help for battered air defenses from the G7 nations, NATO and the EU. NATO chief says working on a solution. Well, now let's get you the latest in the world's largest democratic election in India. Well, the first phase of the 2024 Lok Sabha election, a 44-day, 7-phase democratic exercise to elect a new government, is underway with over 18.2 million voters heading to 1.87 lakh polling booths set up in 102 seats across 21 states and union territories. Voting will run from 7 a.m. IST to 6 p.m. IST with a 60-minute window for voters who reach polling stations before the cutoff time and are in queue when the booths close. The results will be out on the 4th of June. Well, voting is underway for 102 seats across 21 states and union territories. 8 union ministers, 2 former chief ministers and 1 ex-governor are among those who are set to test their electoral fate in the first phase. Union Road and Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari is seeking a hat-trick of win from the Nagpur seat. In 2014, he had defeated 7-time MP Vilas Mutemwar by a margin of 2.84 lakh votes and retained the seat in 2019 by defeating current Maharashtra Congress chief Nana Patole by 2.16 lakh votes. 6 seats in Madhya Pradesh, including Chhindwara, Congress stalwart Kamal Nath's family bastion, vote today. Sitting MP Nakul Nath, who is the ex-chief minister's son, is the Congress candidate. BJP candidate Tamilisai Soundararajan recently resigned as Telangana Governor and Lieutenant Governor Puducherry to return to active politics. She is the BJP's candidate for the Chennai South LS seat. Tamilisai is the daughter of Kumari Ananthan, a veteran Congress leader. Also, Union Minister Kiren Rijiju is contesting from the Arunachal West seat. Kiren Rijiju has represented the constituency thrice since 2004. Rijiju's main rival is former Chief Minister and present President of Arunachal Pradesh Congress, Nabam Tukhi. Also, Sikkim's sole Lok Sabha seat all votes today, as do the single-seat constituencies of Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep and Puducherry. The Naxal-hit Bastar seat in Chhattisgarh, which has 11 seats in Udhampur in Jammu and Kashmir, round out the seats voting in this first phase. The Nilgiris Lok Sabha constituency in Tamil Nadu is witnessing one of the keenly watched battles between A. Raja, the incumbent DMK MP, and former telecom minister and L. Murugan of the BJP, who is the Union Minister of States for Fisheries. This will be the first time that Murugan, who was elected to Rajya Sabha from Madhya Pradesh, is contesting from here. Sarbananda Sonowal, a Union Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, is seeking a return to Lok Sabha from Dibrugarh in Assam. And for more on the ground report, we have our reporters joining us live. Well, we have Kunal Shinde from Tripura, Shishir from Nagpur and Tapas from Kohima. My first question to you, Kunal. Elections in Tripura are in two phases, that is on the 19th today. And
hello.
Kunal, can you hear me? Okay, Kunal, the elections in Tripura are in two phases. That is one on today. I think we're not able to connect to Kunal right now. I'll move my question to Shishir for the time being. Shishir, how is the voting going there right now? Nagpur being a very high-profile seat, which important personalities have casted their vote till now?
Absolutely, Lipakshi. Let me tell you that so far, what the numbers we've got, the last number we've got is around 11 o'clock, and in Maharashtra, all the 5 seats, the percentage is almost 19.17%, which Gadchiroli has the highest voting percentage so far, that is around 24.88%. The numbers that we received here. Obviously, the number will increase, but due to scorching heat, we probably may see the slowdown between 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. and after that, we're expecting that the percentage will again increase after 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. when the polling's end. Well, currently I'm in Nagpur, rightly said, one of the high-profile seats here, and in the morning time we have seen that the Union Minister Nitin Gadkari have cast a vote nearby the region also, and we've also seen some of the VVIPs have also cast a vote. The Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis also appeal to the people to come in a large number and vote for the strengthening of the democracy here. But most important fact here, Alipakshi, is that this time around, as I told you, that the Election Commission has taken several measures to make this entire process quite smooth and going to give a good experience to the voters, and that's the reason one of the booth polling station right now I'm standing, this is based on the metro theme, because recently the people of Nagpur have got the metro, and that's the reason they're in a joyous mood. Well, to celebrate that, this entire polling station, if I ever tell my camera person to show you the visuals, is actually turned into a metro theme polling station. Obviously, we spoke to most of the people here who just came from the voting, and they're quite happy with this kind of initiative, which will definitely create curiosity amongst the voters here, and that's the reason we see some of the more voters will come. So as I told you, the numbers here, the numbers will further rise, but not just in Nagpur, even the other areas, because we've seen that Gadchiroli witnessing a very good percentage of the voting percentage compared to last year. Gadchiroli has experienced almost 70% of the voting percentage, and this time around it may cross the 70%. Even the Nagpur is an urban area, and in the Nagpur last time in 2019 we have seen almost 57 to 56% of voting here, but this time around the authorities and the district election officer have said that they have taken extra measures to increase these numbers, and at the same time they have also added some of the few first-time voters. Almost the numbers is around 2 lakhs. So we can expect that in Nagpur as well this time around we may see a good voter turnout.
All right, Shishir, quite interesting there, metro-themed polling station. Next, my question to you, Tapas. Single seat from here in Tripura, Eastern Naga People's Organization have called for abstention from participation in elections. How is the situation right now? How is the polling going?
Well, the polling is currently going on, and as of 11 a.m., the percentage is around 28.37%. So the polling is currently going on. And another point I'd like to mention is that certain areas, especially Bhandari and then the other places, they've seen more than 50% of voting. Apart from that, one has to keep in mind that there are 16 districts in the state of Nagaland, and as you mentioned, that 6 districts, especially from the East Nagaland, have called for abstain. So we still don't exactly have the figures, but we believe that the voting percentage is very low there. But apart from those places, the other 10 districts, we have seen quite a good voting percent coming in. as I mentioned, there's more than 13,25,000 voters currently, making, they will be voting in this particular Lok Sabha election. This is a lone Lok Sabha seat from Nagaland that's going to poll. That's actually polling today, and it's on. This is one place where you will find that more than the male voters, the female voters actually outnumber them. So the female voters have been, coming here in the polling station from right in the morning. We saw around 6:45 a.m. When the 7 a.m. was the time when the polling station was supposed to start. But they actually stood in line, stood in queue, and they wanted to make their vote count from the start. So that's the kind of enthusiasm that you can see. They generally don't talk much, but they make their they make their presence feel by their vote, and that's something that we have been noticing. We've been here for almost close to a week now, but this is the time when we saw that they're coming out in large number to make their vote count. There are two candidates currently in fray in this particular election. The first is S. Supong Morain Jamir from the Congress, and from the NDPP and BJP there is Chunbin Muri. So these two are the one fighting. This is going to be a close battle, that one believe, and it will all boil down to what the other 10 district of Nagaland vote, and how they are going to vote in this particular election.
All right. My next question to you, Shishir. What are the major issues on which people are voting there?
Well, absolutely, Pakshi. If you look at the Western Vidarbha region, the Western Vidarbha region is once known as a backward region in Maharashtra. In spite of that, it's quite a mineral-rich, the entire region is. But last few years, specifically if I speak, the last 5 to 10 years, the region has seen exponential growth, not just in terms of infrastructure, but at the same time in the investments and in the industry have started coming in. As a result, I want to give you that probably in Gadchiroli district, we have seen some of the big companies have come in last 5 to 10 years because the Gadchiroli district is one of the known for its black gold, that means for the coal, and that's the reason we have seen some of the big ticket projects coming into Gadchiroli district. At the same time, the Chandrapur district also, we have seen a big power plant project have set up in last few years, giving in more job opportunities. So obviously, now this region has changed its face, but in spite of that, some of the basic issues still remain there. And keeping that in mind, the voters, when will come out today to vote, they will definitely think upon those issues. The most important aspect that once the entire region was a parched region, obviously some of the irrigation project got delayed, and that's the reason the irrigation system and the technology is also hampered a lot. Ultimately, after the change in command in the center and the state, we have seen that the old projects have completed now. People knows all this development, what have happened so far, and that's the reason when they will go for the vote, they will keep these things in mind, that what exactly they want and how much of their demand has been fulfilled. So there's a two important aspect that we focused on. Talking about the Nagpur city earlier, Nagpur is one of the most important city in Mumbai, especially in Maharashtra after Mumbai. But the important project like the metro project and the other important commuters, passengers transportation has not been given so far so important, and that's the reason.
Right. Right. Thank you so much. Right. Thank you so much, Tapas and Shishir, for that information. And moving on, polling is on for India's northeastern province in Sikkim for its lone parliamentary seat and 32 assembly seats. One of the provincial seats is virtual. It has no geographical shape and form. Its voters are only nuns and monks of the Buddhist faith. DD India's Gautam Roy gets us more on this.
India's northeastern state of Sikkim is unique in many ways. It's got India's highest peak, the Kanchenjunga. It's 100% organic, but in election time, what makes it further unique is a feature called the Sangha seat. It's a virtual seat which has no geographical boundaries. It's a 32nd seat in the Sikkim Assembly, which is polling right now, and this is a seat that's meant for the Sangha, which is for the nuns, that is the Anis and the monks and the lamas of the Tibetan faith, and they're queuing up here to vote in this election. Only about 3,000, less than 3,000 voters. Let's just speak to some of them as well. क्या नाम है आपका?
मेरा कर्मा थेंडू भुटिया.
आप जो संघा सीट है उसके लिए वोट करने आए हैं, तो एक बहुत यूनिक ट्रेडिशन है ये, तो इसको आप आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं डेमोक्रेटिक मॉडर्न फैशन में, आपको कैसा लग रहा है?
इसमें बहुत अच्छा है। हमारा ये 32 संघा सीट है हमारा सिक्किम में, और स्टेट में नहीं है, इसीलिए हम लोग आया इधर वोट लगाने के लिए।
और कैसा चल रहा है अभी वोट?
अभी अच्छा चल रहा है सब भी।
So this is a unique feature, as I said, because Sikkim has a special status under 371F, and this is something that was granted for the seat. It was also opposed in the Supreme Court, but the case was decided in the favor of the Sangha seat 5-1, and now it stands as a unique feature, as I said, of the Sikkim Assembly and the people of Sikkim. With camera person Sumit Dhiman, this is Gautam Roy in Gangtok, Sikkim for DD India.
For the first-time voters in the U.S., the turnout for the 2020 presidential election among 18 to 24-year-olds was 48%. In 2024, as India decides, 18.2 million voters will press the right to vote. Airlines are offering discounts while the Election Commission is doing all in its might to encourage the people to vote.
18.2 million voters will exercise their franchise for the first time in the 2024 elections. What do these voters do and how do they compare with the first-time voters in 2019? Three important points come to the fore. 70% of the first-time voters yet to enter labour force. Not every first-time voter is studying. Labour conditions have changed since 2019. The labour force in the 18 to 19 age group in rural areas is close to 67.4%, while in urban areas it swells to 77.9% in the same age bracket. The overall average comes to 70.3, which is the share of the population outside the workforce. Majority of the first-time voters who are not in the labour force are studying, but there is a big gender gap, with 95% of the men reported education as the reason for staying out of the labour force, while it is just 65% for the women. Today's young voter would like to compare with his peers from 2019 who have entered the labour force earlier. The periodic labour force survey results with 2018-19 numbers show that unemployment rate has fallen for all workers and also for the category of first-time voters. Anil Thomas for DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. US and Britain announced new Iran sanctions after missile and drone strike on Israel. At UN, Iran warns Israel against further military action. Elon Musk expected to announce major investments in India when he meets Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. And in Indian Premier League, Chennai will take on Lucknow Super Giants in Lucknow today.
The world's largest democracy's first of 7 phases is set to kick off on April 19 for 1,625 candidates. 102 constituencies within 21 states and union territories are voting. 8 union ministers, 2 former chief ministers and 1 ex-governor's fate will be decided by over 166.3 million voters. The Great Indian Election tracks all the numbers as they unfold at 8:30 p.m. IST, 1500 hours GMT, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, another big news we are tracking here at DD India Live is explosions heard in Iranian city of Isfahan early morning were a result of the activation of Iran's air defense systems. However, Iran Space Agency spokesman Hossein Dalarian said several drones have been successfully shot down by the country's air defense and that there was no missile attack. Meanwhile, several flights were diverted over the central city of Isfahan and Shiraz and Tehran cities. Meanwhile, the G7 nations are expected to announce fresh sanctions against Iran when the group's foreign ministers meeting wraps up later today. The US and UK have already moved forward with a new round of sanctions in response to Tehran's strikes on Israel last weekend. Undeterred with sanctions, Iran at UNSC on Thursday said that Israel must be compelled to stop any further military adventurism against our interest. Giles Gibson is in Capri for us.
In a coordinated move, the US and the UK have announced a fresh round of sanctions against Iran, with Washington sanctions targeting the country's missile and drone programs, as well as the Defense Ministry and the Revolutionary Guard Corps, while London's have targeted the Iranian Defense Minister, as well as other individuals and organizations that are linked to the country's military. US President Joe Biden, as he announced these sanctions, said that allies and partners of the US and the UK around the world will also be introducing similar measures to respond to Iran's missile and drone attacks on Israel over the weekend. Meanwhile, we've also had the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and the Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba here on the Italian island of Capri, joining the G7 foreign ministers in their talks. And Dmytro Kuleba has drawn what he sees as a very clear contrast between the way that Western allies support Israel and the way they support Ukraine. He said that when it comes to Israel, the strategy for that, he says it's to prevent damage and death, clearly referring there to the fact that the US and the UK helped to shoot down drones and missiles fired by Iran towards Israeli territory. On the other hand, he says for Ukraine, their strategy is simply to help the country to recover from damage. Now, the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg here in Capri has said that the alliance is working towards providing Ukraine with more Patriot air defense systems. And the foreign ministers have also been discussing how to use $300 billion of frozen Russian assets in the West as collateral for loans that could be issued to the Ukrainian government in the coming weeks. Giles Gibson on the island of Capri, reporting for DD India.
Well, the US on Thursday blocked a resolution that would have seen Palestine recognized as an official UN state. According to the United States, the recognition is premature and should only come after direct negotiations between Israel and Palestine. Israel commends the move, while Palestine terms it unfair. Palestine has been a permanent observer at the UN since 2012, before which it was an observer in the UN General Assembly. Jody Jacobs reports from New York.
Palestine's hope to become the 194th member of the UN were dashed on Thursday when the United States stopped the UN from recognizing Palestine as an official state by using its veto in the Security Council. 12 countries voted in favor of the resolution, while the United Kingdom and Switzerland abstained. Algeria, who spearheaded the vote on behalf of the Arab group, said this was an unforgivable mistake. Member states voiced their disappointment by the turn of events, with Russia's permanent representative saying history will not forgive the United States. This was Palestine's second attempt at full membership at the world body. It currently only holds observer status. Speaking after the vote, Riyad Mansour, the permanent observer for the state of Palestine, said Palestine's right to self-determination shouldn't be delayed. He told the council that all the Palestinians want is to join the club as equals. Israel, however, thanked its ally, the United States, for blocking the vote, saying allowing Palestinian statehood would be akin to rewarding terrorism. The Arab group says it will continue to lobby for Palestinian recognition at the United Nations, as there is sufficient international pressure and support for it to continue the cause. Jody Jacobs at the United Nations in New York, reporting for DD India.
Well, Ukraine warned foreign ministers from the group of 7 major powers on Thursday they had to change strategy if they wanted Kyiv to withstand increasingly destructive Russian air assaults. The G7 ministers meeting on the island of Capri acknowledged the need to get more air defense systems to Ukraine and applauded Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba as he joined them on the second day of their 3-day gathering. And Sri Lankan cabinet approved issuing a free visa for South Asia neighbouring countries under the new system. Under the new system, SAARC visa fees increased to $35 and the charges for other nationals has become $75. Experts are of the opinion with tourism being the mainstay for foreign exchange earnings, setting free visa entry will boost the earning of tourism sectors. And as Elon Musk readies a trip to India, it appears he could be packing a hefty investment in his suitcase. According to Reuters, the electric vehicle mogul plans to announce a $2 to $3 billion investment when he meets with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. DD India's Tony Waterman has more from Texas, where Tesla is headquartered.
According to the Reuters report, this $2 to $3 billion will mainly go towards the building of a new Tesla factory. Right now, the details are thin on where the factory could be located or when it could be operational. But in the meantime, Tesla is scouting out potential showroom locations in New Delhi and Mumbai. That is according to Reuters. Those cars could be imported from its plant in Germany, which would allow Tesla to take advantage of a new tariff rule change. Just last month, India slashed taxes on imported electric vehicles to 15% for automakers that invest $500 million in the country and set up a factory. Tesla already has manufacturing capabilities in the US, Europe, and China, but this new facility will give it access to a brand new market, and not just any old market. India has the world's largest population, and the government wants 30% of all new car sales to be EVs starting in 2030. This entry into the India market could also help Tesla offset plunging sales growth elsewhere. Just this week, the company said it was laying off more than 10% of its global workforce after reporting its first annual decline in deliveries since the pandemic. But cars aren't the only thing that Musk is keen to focus on during this two-day visit. He's also expected to meet with Indian space startups in New Delhi on Monday, including Skyroot Aerospace and SatShore. This could help pave the way for a market entry for SpaceX's Starlink, a satellite internet provider, as Elon Musk eyes India as the next frontier for a number of his business ventures. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
And in sports, Chennai Super Kings will take on Lucknow Super Giants in the 34th match of Indian Premier League 2024 in Lucknow today. Chennai Super Kings won both its last matches. CSK looked rather impressive in the wins against Kolkata Knight Riders at home and then against Mumbai Indians away. Lucknow Super Giants, on the other hand, lost both its last matches. LSG has had a couple of disappointing matches as it struggled with both bat and ball against Delhi Capitals and KKR. Before those two defeats, KL Rahul's men had recorded 3 wins in a row. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.